Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse here, and I am back for kind of a March 2021 update video, and I've got a few other topics that I want to briefly touch on and discuss today. So we'll just get right into it here. First, as usual, getting into some basic channel updates. If you are new to the channel, I've picked up a few subscribers and followers lately. So if you're new to the channel, welcome and thanks for stopping in, subscribing. If you haven't already, you can subscribe. I do unlock videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Mondays are streams, and Wednesdays and Fridays are pretty much everything else. So VR, low vision accessible games, blind audio games, text accessible games, iOS, PC, console, a little bit of that, hardware reviews, a little bit of everything here. So definitely check out the playlist tab, and you'll probably find something there that may be of interest to you. So yeah, it's been a really busy couple. A busy couple of weeks, busy month since I last did a stream or an update. Work has been actually quite busy, just, still working from home. Actually, as I'm recording this, the Friday before, this is going to be a Saturday video, Friday the 12th here. Technically, it's been about a year since I started working from home. It was Friday the 13th, 2020. When we got I went out on the road for a work trip, came back to the office. We got a notification and information from our supervisor. Yeah, pack up your computer and your stuff. Take what you need when you're going to go home, and when you go home, and we were going to be working from home. And at the time, we thought, oh, okay, maybe through May, maybe through June. We thought maybe a few weeks, couple months tops. Here we are 1 year later, and vaccines are still just slowly starting to trickle out. I've seen more people on my Twitter feed, and I know a couple people personally who have gotten at least their first vaccine, first dose of it now. We have the upcoming single dose version that I guess is supposed to be a little bit less effective, but still quite effective. So that's going to be becoming a thing here more frequently coming up. So I'm hoping, that maybe we'll be able to, if we choose to, we can venture out of our caves and poke around the real world again a little bit here. Hopefully by summer, the end of summer at the very least, as we get more of the vaccines out, and we'll see what happens. And I'm very curious to see, okay, we're going to get everybody vaccinated, but is it going to be like the flu where, how long does this thing actually last before people start coming down with COVID again? That's going to be the kind of freaky part, figuring that out. And then you have all these mutations, all these different variants of it, that some are more spreadable than the original, and there's at least two or three different variations, and who knows how many more to come. Are we going to have to be, once we get everybody the first round, we're just going to have to ramp up, and basically we're going to have to do this like a yearly flu shot kind of a thing forever. I don't know if that's going to be a thing or how this is going to work, but it has definitely changed everything. But I do hopefully see some light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, I love working from home. Don't get me wrong. Like, I have no problem going back and when I actually have to meet with clients and meet with them and do certain tasks. Do evaluations or assessments in person. That's fine, and meetings and things. But even our employer is like, yeah, we realize that things can work, and we probably should, given the technology and flexibility that we have, and prove that it worked, where we can hopefully continue at least working from home or having a more flexible work schedule going forward. So, if you're just going to be writing reports anyway, do it at home. Or, you don't have any clients, you can work on projects without being disturbed. I find if I have a task to do, I can be very productive at home. Crank on some tunes, grab something to drink, and here we go. So, yeah, the COVID, man. This is going to be released 1 year exactly since COVID started. And then basically, right around that time, not really related to COVID, but for me anyway, that's when things just really took a crap. That's where, right around this time last year, things just got really, really crap for a little while. Really disappointing. A few things disappointing where things really sucked, but we're climbing out of it. We're climbing out of it. But yeah, for a lot of people, it's been a rough year. Like I said, hopefully we're getting out of it. But, we got COVID, we got everything else happening, and then other stuff happened last year that I've talked about on the channel that I'm not going to dwell on here. But yeah, sucked the big one. But hopefully we're going to, move forward here. But yeah, things have been super busy at work. But the cool news is that I have had. I tweeted about this the other day. I posted a couple tweets about it. The last year or two, give or take, I've just had so many cool opportunities, and I'm really thankful for it. When I was a little kid, like I love video games ever since I can remember. And I'm like, God, I would, even when I was a little kid, I was like, yeah, I would love to make video games when I grow up. High school, God, I would love to somehow be involved in video games. And then I started, I got the internet. I actually got good internet where it wasn't dial up. And you had things like IGN and a few other sites that I visited back in the day. And it's like, oh, well, if I can't make games, I would love to be a video game journalist. I'd love to write about them. Or then we had video sites and podcasts and YouTube and all just how things have changed since the internet and better bandwidth and more easily usable creator tools. Like I said, anybody can pretty much make a video or a podcast at this point. It's really not that hard, especially if you don't do a lot of editing. So I've always wanted to be not just do things in the video game industry, but I wanted to say, I kind of wanted to call myself a semi-professional in the video game industry or video game field. And, I feel comfortable in saying, it's not my full-time job, but I can kind of think of myself as sort of a, professional in the video games industry. I have gotten to present at least 3 or 4 times. I've been on podcasts. I've gotten some paid gigs to actually help with accessibility. Paid gigs for specific games or specific companies or both, or, just all that kind of a thing. And in the last couple months, like I said, a couple weeks ago, I had that PS5 week. Super lucked into that particular consulting kind of gig that I did. And I literally, before recording this video, just finished up an actual official play test for a company over a couple days. And that's all I can really say about it right now. I will be able to talk about it at a later date, but that's all I can say right now. It is just for an upcoming game, but it was a really cool experience. My first real formal playtest kind of a thing. And once I'm allowed to talk about it, I would love to kind of talk about the experience because, what a lot of like casual fans might not realize too is that, you think, oh yeah, you just get to play video games. No, there is, like if you work in QA, quality assurance, or testing or anything like that, there's a lot that goes into it, and you have to be really thorough. You have to be, really have not only just like an analytical mind, but you have to be able to coherently express what works, what doesn't. just any kind of role like that. Like you have to, even if you're doing general consulting work, it's like, I want to be an advocate. I want to be a accessibility advocate or a consultant. You have to be really articulate in how you can't just say, well, this doesn't work, I can't play it. This game is not accessible or this app is not accessible. That really doesn't help. That really just does not help a developer. But when I'm allowed to, I will definitely come back and talk about this experience because it was pretty cool. So I've been busy with that. Still working with Microsoft, doing the low vision advisory board thing. That's been a lot of fun. Probably have another meeting of that coming up here pretty soon. It's just been really busy inside and outside of work, and I'm glad that I've had these few different diversions. I do my day job, I do some gaming, I do some drumming, I watch a few things, maybe play a few things, read, whatever it is I do, but just having a bunch of things to keep me busy so I'm not doing the same thing. I don't want to just sit in my recliner and do nothing. I don't want to just, sit in my bed or, apartment or whatever. I don't want to just be doing, like, even when you start doing fun things, if you're doing the same thing, it can kind of get a little tedious. When I was trying to get a job after college, I'd play a lot of games outside of doing my job applications and stuff. But even, not having any money and being broke and everything, yeah, it was kind of like what people are going through now. It's like, well, even the things that I can do, I kind of get bored because I'm doing the same old thing and I don't have any money to do anything else. So, get out there, improve yourself. There's plenty of online resources out there, audio books or audio podcasts, textbooks, websites, videos, whatever. This is a perfect time to improve yourself and keep things, get things moving. One other thing that I do want to touch on a little bit, I don't know if I'm going to do an official app video for it just because a lot of what I would show you, I would want to go into a room and I don't want to record a public room. There's been a whole big hubbub of this Clubhouse app that has been out since I think January. I came into it about 2-3 weeks ago and I wasn't sure if I really even wanted to do it. I'm not super big into social media. I don't really like Facebook. I rarely use Facebook. I do use Twitter. I find that to be very helpful. But I don't use Instagram. I don't use Pinterest. I don't use, God knows, TikTok or any of these other things. I just don't care. But this Clubhouse being an audio only sort of a chat room network kind of a thing, it just sounded unique enough. And I had heard from a couple people, when I was on the Blind Abilities podcast a few weeks back. Plug them, by the way. Check them out if you haven't already. It's a great, great podcast with a lot of useful interviews and information and tech shows and stuff. And you might find me there from time to time. But, they talked about it. And then another couple friends talked to me about it. And they kind of coaxed me in. They're like, okay, push me over the edge. There were some people in the gaming industry that I knew were on there. And I'm like, man, if I could actually get in a room and even listen to them or being able to talk to them directly, which I haven't totally done that yet. But I have to ultimately say that Clubhouse, I still have mixed feelings on it. And I don't know how much I would, if it weren't for a couple of things, I don't know that I would use it very much. But I happen to find one or two rooms, one especially, that I'm kind of addicted to. I really keep coming back to. There's a room, it's actually called the Game Industry Cocktail Hour. And it is not just a cocktail hour, an hour a day, 2 hours a day, whatever. It's just this room that somehow took off about 3-4 weeks ago, about a week before I joined. And they've had this room going on. And it's just there's always a few people in there, so somebody's always kind of keeping it active, and it's just this perpetual 24-hour a day room. And you never know what you're going to get in there, but it's this really nice group of people. I learn so much from that room. You've got game developers, artists, sound designers. There was people. I mean, there's been people, the developers that I've seen from like Blizzard, EA, Ubisoft, people that worked on like Star Wars movies. One guy worked on The Matrix. I was like, holy crap, man. Just you never know what you're going to find in there. But the whole idea of the room is that people who are interested in, if you're in the game industry, if you're a developer or a producer or any number of these things that I just said, or if you're tangentially in involved with gaming, or if you're just a fan and really want to learn more. They're really pushing it as a welcoming community. And I had found the room kind of by accident. And within the first day or two that I was kind of poking in and listening to it off and on, I liked what I heard, and I'm like, I guess I could try to raise my hand and see if I could, join the actual discussion. And I was invited, and I actually told my kind of a little bit of my story, what my background is about, being legally blind and doing the channel and doing accessibility advocacy and consulting and some of the presentations that I did and some of my things I'm trying to do. And the group has been really cool about it, they kind of invited me off to this other spin-off room one time where they were talking about VR, and so I kind of gave my spiel there. There was kind of this diversity in gaming room the other day that they invited me to chat a little bit there, about disability, because some of these rooms got fairly full. So I've kind of been able to get more people receptive to accessibility, developers and some of these people, like they own companies, they manage companies. There was one night where I even was talking to a few people and I was kind of bouncing ideas. I remember that Sable audio game. I still haven't really done much work on trying to figure something out with that. But really, I mean, I'm stumped. I'm kind of overwhelmed. Like, how do I do this? How do I proceed? What could I do? And they kind of gave me some really cool advice and just a totally different way of looking at things. So when I actually have time, whenever that's going to be, and I do try to revisit trying to make something, even a simple RPG for Sable when it comes out. I'm going to try to maybe look at it a little bit differently, a little bit more simplistically, just to try to get something that is out there, that is playable, and that is ultimately fun. So I got some good advice, and yeah, it's just been a really cool group of people, and there's regulars in there. And so, like I said, I visited a couple other rooms in Clubhouse um, that were about blindness or technology or games or even a couple other odds and ends. But I just haven't stuck around in too many of them. I've kind of been, if I've used Clubhouse at all, I've kind of been addicted to that one room. So that's been my experience with that. Now, I will say, before you guys post any comments, as far as invites to it, I do have a few, but it's one of those things where you actually have to, you don't just give somebody's email address. You actually do it with like a phone number. So I'm really only inviting people that I personally know. It's not like, random people on the internet that I maybe vaguely know of or have heard of. Like, because when you join, like, you get to see who invited you. And I guess, like, if, let's say that I invite somebody and they start trolling or whatever, um, you know, potentially you could be, you know, kind of punished for that if they get too bad, because you're the one that invited them and they're trying to keep this to be fairly above board. I don't know how it is overall, but like I said, I just don't want to really have trouble, and so I'm really only inviting people that I really know. So random people asking for Clubhouse invites probably not going to happen. Just letting you know that. But yeah, I do have some mixed feelings on it. They have greatly improved accessibility. When I first joined, I guess they had just done an accessibility patch, and it was better than it was apparently, but there were definitely some still weird quirks with it. They did an update within the last week, last few days, again, and it's actually gotten quite a bit better. There's a fair few things with voiceover that actually read the way they're supposed to now, so you don't have to jump through as many hoops. Like if you get invited up to a stage to be a speaker, that process just works a little bit nicer now. So that is my experience with Clubhouse. It is unique. I don't know how long term I'm going to use it or how often, but it is kind of a unique experience. I almost think of it as like a mixture between like a chat room and Twitter, because you can like follow people, and then when you see they're in a room, you can join with the room that they're in, but then you have to be invited. Like once you join a room, you can't just talk. You have to be invited by the creator of the room to be a part of that conversation. You can raise your hand, if you want to, if you try to, want to say something, but ultimately you have to be invited to be a speaker or a room moderator, or you can create your own room. So enough about Clubhouse. There's a few other things I want to talk about. One cool thing, just Xbox Game Pass just gets better all the time. And we've known that Microsoft has been trying to acquire Bethesda and all of their companies within, and game properties within. And as of today, they've literally, the other day they officially got the approval, and so Bethesda is officially part of Microsoft. And as of today, they added like 20 Bethesda games. So you can get like Fallout series, Doom series, Quake series, let's say Fallout, Elder Scrolls. All this stuff is on Game Pass. And if I go over here, oh, no, wrong window. Game Pass. I pulled up like Oblivion here. Oh God, my favorite game. I love that. I love that. I love Skyrim, but Oblivion is so good. And it seems to be even Game Pass for PC. So if you get Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, you could play these on your Xbox One or Series X or S, or on your PC. If you don't already own them, you're wondering if you could play them, if you wonder if they're accessible enough for you to play if you have low vision, let's say. I could install this, I already have it on Steam, but if I wanted to, I could install it directly from the Xbox game or the store app on Windows 10, and then I can play all of these Bethesda games. So just wanted to let people know, I mean, there's so many games on that. If you are in the Xbox ecosystem and you want to test for accessibility and just try different games, they're adding stuff just constantly. It's pretty crazy, actually. And PlayStation's starting to do some stuff too, with their PlayStation Plus stuff. They're giving away a couple of free games here and there. Not near as many as Microsoft is, but, I'm still playing my PS5. If you haven't watched all these PlayStation 5 videos, I got the accessibility, the controller, the app, the headphones. I hope to do some game spotlight videos sometime soon when I get some time. All that stuff, but check those out if you haven't already. So cool next-gen console stuff. Now, there's one other thing that there's one other main topic that I want to talk about, and then we'll do a quick wrap-up. There is a product that I heard about. I forget who sent me the information on Twitter. Sorry, I forgot who you are, but you know who you are. Thank you for that. There's this thing that is coming out soon, at least in like a beta, and it and it is how do I describe it? I don't exactly know what it is ultimately going to do. It is called Mars Vision, and it kind of, there's kind of a little bit of, I don't want to say controversy, but there's some concern with some other things that have been happening online recently. There's a different service out there called Accessiby, which is basically they're trying to oversell themselves as far as like, put in this one line of code and you can magically make your website perfectly accessible. No, I don't necessarily buy that. You definitely have to have human tech, because what might be technically accessible, what might meet actual code, does not necessarily mean that it's going to be intuitive and useful and understandable to the end users. So you really got to do human testing. And I don't care if you're an automated thing or you're just making coding web pages by hand. That's ultimately how you know if something is going to be accessible to the group that you're trying to make it accessible for. So if you're targeting, I want to make sure this works with screen readers, you got to get some screen reader users and test it. But the whole point is it's this sort of automated thing that can be, that you plug into a website and then it goes to their thing and tries to do some weird wizardry in the background or something, and it makes, a website more accessible. But I've heard from several people that it actually makes things more difficult in some ways if you're a screen reader user. I have not really poked around with it much myself, but so there's that kind of controversy with Accessibility right now. And then this was announced this week, this Mars Vision. And like I said, I have mixed feelings because on one hand, I'm not sure. Okay, my speaker thought I was talking to it, which I wasn't. But I'm not sure. I did sign up for there's going to be like a closed beta soon, they say, and you have to register, and then they'll pick people that they want to try it. I do hope that I get into the group because I am genuinely curious to see what it does. And let me see, I think there's a video. I'm going to play this video, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. Let's watch.
Mars Vision
it's short.
Is a technological solution that helps visually impaired people play video games. Our technology tracks gameplay in real time and helps the player navigate a virtual space. We strive to make our solution as flexible and accessible as possible, so that visually impaired people all over the world can discover the exciting world of gaming for themselves. Mars Vision has been tested by visually impaired players on a number of popular...
Now I'm going to pause it for a second here. Go away, you stream, or the things on the bottom. Okay, go away. Come on, go away. Are you gonna... I'm trying to make those little video thumbnail things on the bottom go away. On the bottom, they list some games that it's supposed to work with, like Diablo, or World of Warcraft, Grand Theft Auto 5. How do I make... Okay, if I move it over there, it'll go away. The Witcher 3, that could be interesting. Civilization. I have thoughts about that, but let's finish the video first.
Games, and the results were excellent. Our technology is based on a neural network that can solve problems more quickly than any human. Mars Vision allows you to fully enjoy popular games. You can navigate menus,
Episode 1.
choose characters or missions,
Wings of Liberty.
find out what your mouse cursor is pointing at, and a whole lot more.
Menu. Command Center.
Mars Vision gives you all the information you need to immerse yourself in the gameplay.
Workers. Barracks.
Mars Vision doesn't require any special skills. Video games are an inextricable part of modern culture. That's why we want to offer our users the opportunity to experience the amazing world of gaming with Mars Vision absolutely free. We think gaming should be accessible to everyone. Download Mars Vision and start your adventures in a new world full of games and fun.
Well, we can't do that yet. We can't do that yet because it's not out yet. But when that happens, I guess it's going to be available. So, a few things. I can see potential really awesome things with this, and I can see things not so good with this. So, getting the negative out of the way first. Some people are saying, it's like, oh, well, this is just like an accessibility thing. This is like a patch where if developers in the gaming industry, if they find out that this tool is out there, then they'll be less incentivized to make their games accessible because they'll say, oh, well, there's already a tool that can do it, so why should we have to, put any effort into ours to make it accessible? Um, and that is absolutely not true. The best thing that game developers can do is to keep doing what they're doing, keep moving toward where we're going. Adding these customizations, adding these features, control mappings, text to speech, visual settings, what all the things that we've talked about. Keep doing that, because then your game will be more playable by everybody. Um, the other thing is they kind of the way I'm sort of reading this, at least in its initial phase, is that it seems like this might be more useful for people who are legally blind or low vision like myself. I don't know that it's just magically going to make games totally blind accessible. Especially you look at some of those games when I paused. The Witcher 3, it's an open world game. I covered it years ago on the channel. Grand Theft Auto 5, I haven't even really played much because there are some accessibility issues with it. If, okay, yes, they can add, potentially, maybe they can OCR and add, maybe they can figure out a way you can make the menus have text to speech. But in an open world game like Grand Theft Auto or The Witcher or anything, I don't necessarily think, at least initially, I can't imagine that it's going to offer in-world navigation assistance somehow. I mean, even remotely close to something like The Last of Us 2, where a totally blind person can navigate. A lot of the game is linear, but there is a section early on in Seattle that is wide open. It's pretty open world esque. So, I don't think it's really going to magically make many types of games totally blind playable. I could be wrong, but I'm skeptical. I don't see that happening right away. Now, maybe that's their goal long term. I don't know. Um, but where I see this potentially, now we'll move over to the good. For me personally, this could potentially be really helpful in certain situations, especially existing games that are out there that are not currently all that playable or accessible to me. If I could load up, how many games have I covered recently where I go, God, I wish this menu had text to speech. God, I wish I could read this skill tree better. Oh, I wish I could use this inventory system and compare my weapons and items and all this stuff, because all these, The Last of Us and Ubisoft games have done it. They had, I think it was StarCraft. They had there was a real time strategy clip that they had there with a little bit of text to speech. I showed you guys Age of Empires last year. Um, the Age of Empires 2 remake, whatever. Um, if you have some usable vision, it might augment that pretty well. So, where if it can help compensate for some of the shortcomings or some of the troubles that I do have as low vision user myself, this tool might actually be fairly helpful for me, and that's why I'm eager to actually try the beta and see what it actually does and does not do. And I know it does more than text to speech. I looked at the documentation. It's very short, but it's supposed to do something with like being able to like move and identify what's under your mouse or with the keyboard. I'm not entirely sure of all of its features, but what this initial version is going to be. But I did want to talk about it as it regards to game accessibility because on one hand it sounds really exciting, and on one hand I'm definitely sort of skeptical. Um, you know, and on two ends. Like I said, you have kind of the accessibility side on one end, and then you have things like seeing VR, which I really, really wish would happen. I kind of look at this as a similar type of thing for flat screen games that seeing VR did. Go back and watch under the VR accessibility playlist. I did a commentary on that 7-minute video that Oculus released a couple of years ago now, or Microsoft released a couple of years ago now, for this kind of accessibility suite that would layer on top of, you'd run it in the background and then it would work on top of Unity games at the time, but it's not officially out yet. I kind of look at this Mars Vision as something similar to that. It's not trying to say, oh, we're going to basically, one magic thing and, oh, your game is totally going to be accessible. It's going to be, like, okay, for the games that aren't, let's try to hack together some things that might make it work. Like, we're going to try to add some text to speech. Maybe we'll add some more. I especially I've heard of blind players and even myself to a degree. A lot of games are using instead of using like arrows or the D-pad to go up and down, left and right through menus, you have this like cursor. I think a lot of the Ubisoft games did that last fall, where you had like a cursor that you would just move around the screen instead of hard, locking to menu items and snapping between them. If it can help with things like that, there could be some uses for it. So that's really all the speculation that I'm going to do right now. Like I said, I am sort of skeptical, but I am also very, very curious to see what types of things these things could do. And as I got to thinking about it, I started thinking more about, okay, in a flat screen game, what kind of, they're using this AI and smart technology or whatever they're doing, neural network technology. What types of things would I want to have an overlay or a background application like this? What kind of things would I like to have it do? And I did come up with, some types of ideas, and I'm not going to talk about them now because this is going to be a long video as it is. But again, I really want to see what this does and doesn't do out of the gate. And when we're allowed, once I'm able to try it and provide feedback, these are some things that I'll maybe consider. I'll try it with several games. I definitely want to, I'm sure there's countless number of games that I could try, different genres and even different, types of, let's say, first-person shooters. Some are more realistic, some are more sci-fi, or, realistic versus arcadey, that kind of a thing. So, I will definitely try to put this through its paces and see what it does. But Mars Vision, just a thing that I heard about within the past couple of days that sounds sort of intriguing. So that is the major topics I wanted to cover for this particular video. But we're going to end on something short, but we're going to end on something hopefully very, very cool. This one, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm also sort of really excited because of the developers who made it or are making it. And of course, I am talking about, what was it, like 2 days ago? They released a trailer for an upcoming game. We don't have a release date for it yet, but it just says coming soon. You can wishlist it on Steam. It's also going to come to other consoles, but let's watch. Yeah. Different song, but really evoking the 1987 cartoon. Look at this. Oh, that's Shredder. That is so 80s Shredder. Yes. April with her yellow suit. Splinter. Mousers, Chrome Dome, I think, Baxter as a fly, surfing, sewer surfing, Technodrome with the big eye on it. Hell yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. And then they go and show some gameplay. Look at this. It's like 8-ish 16, kind of 8-ish 16-bit, like Turtles in Time, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the classic Konami games. Yeah, side-scrolling, 4-player, beat 'em up, action. How freaking great is that? And when I was looking on the Steam page at the description, I guess some of the crew that were behind Streets of Rage 4 that came out, I think, early last year, shortly before, I think, yeah, because I played it when Riley was still up here. Streets of Rage 4 was really solid. So if you got people that made that behind this, like everything that they've shown, we got burned. What was it in 2016? They had that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game that came out that I was really kind of pumped for. Again, it looked really cool, but the game just turned out to be kind of awful. I don't know really what went wrong with that, but I was super disappointed because I love the Turtles, always have since they've been out. And there's been some good games, but yeah, a couple of the recent ones haven't been all that good. But this one kind of seems like they're going in the perfect direction. Go back to, especially there's been a lot of, I've covered a lot of them on the channel, along with classic first-person shooters. These 2D brawlers, beat 'em ups, are kind of becoming a thing again, and there's been some good ones. And yeah, give us a 4-player Turtles Arcade, Turtles in Time. Give us a meaty single-player co-op experience. Don't make it suck like the Turtles in Time XBLA remake that they totally butchered. God, I was excited for that too, and then I got really disappointed. But with the style of the trailer, like the original cartoon opening, even the panning from the moon down to the sewers and like some of the turtles, and then the gameplay. I'm glad they showed gameplay and it wasn't just the trailer. I'm glad we got to see the side-scrolling part at the end there because that fills me with hope. It really does. And I really want to play it. And if it's good, odds are I'm going to get it for my computer. And if it's really good, I'm totally going to get it on my Switch so I can play it portably too. So yeah, Streets of Rage developers behind this. That's what makes me think this gives me hope. Everything I've seen so far looks good. So ending on a positive note there. I know it's been another long video, but there's been a lot to talk about. It's been super busy. And we'll see how busy things remain. But that's what we got for today. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing if you're new. If you've been here a while, thanks for staying around. There are definitely more videos to come. I've got a couple of accessible games coming up. I got to record a couple. There's a couple already recorded. Plenty of low vision games, some VR stuff. I am going to cover Blind Drive here hopefully soon. I did purchase the game via Steam, but it's also on mobile. Going to check that out at some point in the near future when I get a chance. A couple of the games that people told me about. So yeah, I mean, the channel's not going to be slowing down. So, just stay tuned and we'll see what happens. Twitch, I've kind of decided, I think I'm going to mostly, because I've been so busy with many other things, I'm going to put Twitch on the back burner. You might catch me on the weekend. I might do a stream every now and again, but I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to be streaming every Saturday or every Sunday or, whatever. Because I've kind of just wanted to relax on the weekends a little bit. So I may you can still follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/illegally cited. And I will be there from time to time, do some streams of games, do some streams of cool events maybe that pop up, especially around E3 in the summer, this summer. But it's not going to be as much of a regular thing as it has been, at least for the near future. So I'm not even going to pretend that this is going to be a regular thing. I'll still do it from time to time, but your best bet is to follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/illegally cited, or Twitter at BGFH79. I always announce when I go live there too. So, but you can follow me there, and I will announce when I go live on Twitch as well. But channel is not slowing down. That part is not going anywhere. Yeah, that is the updates for March for now until something else crazy happens. But until next time, we'll wrap it up here. Like I said, follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally cited, illegallycited.com, and right here on YouTube. Until next time, I will chat with you guys again later.